Have you heard this quote before?
What you're not changing, you're choosing.
This quote cuts to the heart of human behavior. When we repeatedly choose not to change something, that's not just inaction, it's a deliberate choice. What we consistently choose, we value. And what we value most, we love. So when African nations and tribes repeatedly choose paths that let foreign powers control their resources, what does that reveal? Africa's actions reveal what it truly loves. And this video highlights a specific behavior that has increased across the continent in recent years. This behavior is what makes the West laugh at Africa, pushing the idea that Africa is stupid and dumb. Want to know what this behavior is? Stay tuned. For those of you who don't know, my name is TJ. I am Nigerian and British mixed. Although I grew up mostly in the UK, I recently moved to Uganda to start a new life with my partner, Medina. I started off this channel showcasing my move from Europe to Africa, but the channel has now evolved to me trying to answer the question, why is Africa not reaching its full potential? And what would Africa have to do in order to reach its full potential? Which is what brings us on to today's subject. You see, if there is something that I observe Africans doing, a trend, a behavior that is causing destruction, and not only that, giving the ability for outside forces to come in and pillage the rich resources that should be benefiting the very people whose land it came from, I'm going to call that out. What you're witnessing here is an enormous piece of gold ore being pulled out of the ground by young African miners. The question is, would any of these guys get the chance to profit from what they've just dug out of the ground? The sad truth is, although this is their ancestral home, the chances of this changing their life materially, moving them up economically to a higher status, is extremely low. For reference, the gold you can see here is worth $80 million at the time of recording this video. Considering that a raw gold nugget, when refined down to pure gold, loses only about 30% of the total mass, I think it's safe to say that this piece of gold right here is worth something in the multi-millions. Now on this channel, I've been quick to point out all of the ways by which the West have tactics that exploit Africa. There are banking and financial systems, there are trade and sanctions and tariffs and all sorts of neocolonial systems in place to keep resources flowing out at the lowest possible cost. So we can point the finger at the bad guy and say, it's this country, it's this company that won't allow Africa to rise up off its knees. However, in this video, we're going to explore the single most dumbest, stupid, inefficient, and persistent thing that Africa, continent-wide, keeps doing that is worse than any neo-colonial system that is imposed upon Africa. So to help me explain exactly what I'm talking about, I'm going to use this piece of video footage to make an analogy.
Coming round onto the back straight, here it is, Friend defensive to the inside, he's all round the outside, it's a bishop move, look at that from Harry Taylor.
Now I can hear you already saying, what the hell has this got to do with Africans' problems? Well, I'm glad you asked, and I promise you it's going to make all the sense when I get through explaining it. So as we start the video, we see three cars. You've got the two lead cars fighting for first position. And then you've got the third car lagging behind the first two. Notice how the guy in first place looks back, defending off the guy in second place. Now, as the first and second place enter into a battle, the both of them slow down, allowing the guy in third to overtake on the outside. So now the guy in first ends up in second, the guy in second ends up in third, and the guy in third leapfrogs and goes on to win the race. So to use this as an analogy, this driver here would represent the West, the colonial powers, the evil ones that we call out for ruining and destroying everything happening in Africa for their own benefit. And these two drivers in the front would represent Africa. And because they choose to fight amongst each other, they no longer have the ability to stay competitive in the race, so that the West, the driver in third position, is able to leapfrog them with ease. I think by now you're understanding the point I'm trying to make. As I'm recording this video, we have conflict in Sudan that has been lasting 2 years and is devastated the place. We have conflict in Somalia. We have conflict in Eritrea. We have conflict in Congo. We have conflict in Sahel. These are intertribal. These are interreligious. These are inter-individual. And it makes the following statement ring so true.
The joy of Europe, unspoken, is an Africa that is disorganized, at war, and that does not function.
The reason I agree with this statement is because we are bickering, fighting, and making dysfunctional wars against each other continuously on the continent of Africa. And while that happens, the West joins the race. They overtake and they take away the position that we had before they arrived. And while our focus is on each other and our differences, they get an easy pass. Why should they do fair negotiations and fair trade, where all they have to do is watch the different groups in Africa destroy each other? Now, some may say that they fan the flames and create this dysfunction, encouraging these conflicts, and that may be true. But if there was no flames to fan in the first place, they would have no foothold, no ability to get in between us and create division. Some of these intertribal conflicts have historical meaning, but they serve no modern day purpose, but they have no modern day relevance, especially in a more connected, more globalized world. And then look at the outcomes. What is it going to take to put Sudan back together again, to make it a safe, vibrant place with foreign investment, where people want to come and travel, where people feel safe and ready to do business and entrepreneurship? I see so much content online about how the West doesn't respect Africa. But one thing everybody knows about respect is that respect is earned. We must give them a reason to respect us. Now, is fixing this one problem the fix for everything? No, of course not. It is complex with many different intertwining issues. But one of the things about this problem I'm calling out is that it is in our power to change as Africans. There's always going to be someone that doesn't have Africa's best interests at heart, coming from the outside to try and take things from Africa. But if Africa can be unified, that is the biggest enemy we have just eradicated right there. The enemy from within. I'm tired of hearing the statement that Africa should be the richest place on the earth, that Africa has all the resources in the world for its citizens to be the wealthiest on the planet. When Africa chooses to continue doing the same behavior with hands at the throats of their neighbors, the outcomes will remain the same. And those that do not have the best interest of Africa at heart will continue winning the race, taking from the continent without the benefit of wealth reaching those that are based in the continent. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have some comments to say. Please put them in the comments section. Maybe I'm missing something here. But if you have nothing to say, would it be too much for me to ask you to say the words "Stop African War" in the comments section? It lets me know you watched the video to the end, you support the message, you like what I'm doing, and you want me to keep going. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.